Look, I used to be a chronic procrastinator. I would procrastinate with things like my studies, my memorization, even reading Quran. Like, I would waste the whole day doing whatever else and then leave it to the end of the day. And at that point, I probably just forget about it. And honestly, you could probably relate to this. The more I look at it, the more I see that this is probably the biggest problem that's facing young Muslims, because it's wasting your time. And when you're young, the biggest asset you have is your time. This is such a frustrating position to be in because you honestly want to be productive. You want to spend your time in a good way, but for some reason, you just can't break this habit of going back to your phone, going back to consuming content. You just can't seem to get the work done and stop your procrastination. And honestly, I thought back, like, imagine if I never wasted any time in my life. Imagine how different my life would be. And you could think of this too, right? Because if you never wasted any time in your life, you'd probably be a millionaire by now, bro. You'd probably be a hafiz by now, bro. You'd probably accomplish every single goal you ever set. But now, just because you wasted time and because you procrastinated, you know where you want to be. And even worse than just this, because all of this stuff is worldly, right? Think about the day of judgment. Think about what you're going to think when you're on the day of judgment and Allah is in front of you. And you think back to the times you spent playing video games, watching TikTok, scrolling on Instagram. Are you going to look back on that time and be happy that you spent it that way? Now look, I don't have the perfect life. I don't waste zero time. But I went searching through hadiths, even to Andrew Tate videos, and I really wanted to know, how do you stop procrastination? And what I realized is usually not going to be one thing. Like, if you go on YouTube right now, a lot of these videos are going to sell you a secret, right? One thing that's going to cure all your procrastination and 180 your life. What I realized is those things don't work at all. What the real cure to procrastination is a bunch of different things working together. It's not going to be one thing that's going to 180 your life completely, but rather it's going to be a bunch of these little tips that you're going to do, and over a long time, you're going to be able to actually waste less time. Now, there's a bunch of methods and techniques you can use, and I guarantee you, if you utilize them together properly, especially the ones I'm about to mention, you're going to waste a lot less time. And procrastination is going to be a lot easier to deal with, inshallah. Now, the first thing I want to talk about, it's interesting because I actually got it from Andrew Tate, and it's this idea of hot coal rocks. Look, what this means is people usually stay where they're comfortable. Like, in your position in life right now, you're comfortable, which is why you're not changing. The reason why you don't work towards a better position in life is because you're just comfortable where you're at. You really don't care enough about that better position to where you actually go out and do the work and, put yourself in that uncomfortable position to get that position. So now I want you to look at your goals. I mean, hopefully you have goals, but look at your goals and really, really think to yourself, is this what I want? Because the truth is, if you wanted them really, really bad, you would have had it by now. And basically, this idea of hot coal rocks is, if you were to sit or stand in a pile of hot coal rocks, it would be uncomfortable for you, right? And this is what it should be for your life if you want to improve. Your life right now should be uncomfortable if you want to change your life for the better. But most people are actually comfortable where they're at. Most people don't care enough about their dream life to where they'll actually go out and do something about it. Now imagine your goal is to make money, and not just a little bit of money, but a lot of money. If you have that goal and you really don't care about it, like you want to be a millionaire, but you just kind of want to be a millionaire because it would be nice to have cars and this and that, then you're never going to get it because that's not something that you really, really want. And so because you're comfortable with the position you're in right now, you're going to waste time because comfort leads to time wasted and discomfort leads to non-stop work. I mean, if you're really uncomfortable with your position, you're not even going to want to sleep. You're just going to want to work 24/7 because of how uncomfortable you are. So look, I know I've been talking, but how does this actually apply? Well, the reason why you don't have your goal right now, the reason why you haven't achieved it is because you just don't care enough about it. So now you ask, well, how can I care more about my goal? The way you do this is by actually constantly reminding yourself of your goal and your desires. And I mean, I was actually thinking, and you could look at this yourself, but in the Quran, why is Jannah and Jahannam so often repeated? Like, the punishment is often repeated, and so is the promise of Jannah. Basically, you have to set yourself constant reminders, because if you constantly remind yourself of the goal and of the punishment, then you're going to be way more on track to do the good things and stay away from the sins. And in this case, it actually works the same. You're going to be way more on track to not waste time and actually be productive compared to if you never focused on the goal and you never cared about it. You're just going to waste time because you don't care about it enough. Now, honestly, this is a hard thing to do because if you think about it, like, it's literally changing the way your brain works. It's literally changing your design. So I'm not going to lie, bro. It is hard. But if you could actually do this, in my opinion, it's the only thing you need for productivity. Because, like, just think about it. If you really were uncomfortable with your position, you would change it. Even if you had zero sleep, even if you didn't have any food, you would still change it and you would still work. And like, think about, for example, if, may Allah protect us, your parents die. In that case, you'd have to provide for yourself, but you'd figure out a way. You'd really try hard to get a job. You'd try to make money. You'd literally try every single thing and you'd be 24/7 working. You wouldn't slack off and play games. if your parents died or you were in that situation. So now you kind of want to apply that to yourself and apply that to the situation you're in. And of course, your parents didn't die or anything. Alhamdulillah, I'm in a safe position, right? But if you have that idea of being uncomfortable and really wanting that goal, it's going to be a lot easier to get it, and you're not going to actually waste time. Now, the next thing to note is something I like to call stimulus tolerance. Now, what's interesting is some people could go about their life, and I'm talking about specifically billionaires, millionaires, these really successful people in terms of wealth. They could go through their day working 12, 14 hours every single day, and they won't have the urge to play video games or scroll or anything like that. Now, basically, the point I'm making is some people, they don't have the urge to go on TikTok, to go on Instagram, or play games, but you have that urge. Now ask yourself, why is that? And I'll tell you the reason why is because of your stimulus level. Basically, it means that you're so used to TikTok, YouTube, video games, that becomes your baseline. You're used to watching 6 hours of reels every day, and so anything below that in terms of stimulus is going to bore you. But now think about an alternate scenario where you watch 0 TikTok every single day, you watch 0 hours of YouTube, you will play 0 hours of video games. You'd be stimulated by anything, even work. And I mean, this is actually the case with people way long ago. Because people way long ago, they didn't have video games, they didn't have TikTok or anything like that, but they weren't bored all day. They found things to do. And in fact, they found things that we would find boring today a lot more exciting just because their baseline level of stimulus was way lower. So now apply this to your life. Make your baseline stimulus level lower, and that will make work feel fun. It would make things that actually are normal to you feel fun. And if you do this, it's actually powerful because you won't feel the urge to play video games. You won't feel the urge to scroll. Instead, you'll actually feel the urge to do work. And I mean, just imagine how beautiful that would be for your life. Like, you would feel the urge to do work and be productive. That would make your goals so much easier to achieve. Now, how do you do this? Well, the unfortunate truth is it's going to be difficult because we're so conditioned and programmed to go on social media. Like, you could think every time you grab a plate of food to eat, you watch a YouTube video along with it. Like, that's basically your baseline. So you're going to have to uncondition this whole habit. And there's 2 ways you could do this. One, you could completely stop using social media cold turkey, which is the very hard method, but it's a very effective method as well. Or the second thing is just slowly cut out social media. And this is something that everybody could do and everybody should do. But again, it's not going to be as effective, especially because it's very easy to slip back just to your normal habits. So I would recommend, if you could do it, which of course not everybody can do it, but if you really try to, cold turkey stop social media and YouTube and all that stuff. And if you do that, you'll realize work is a lot more fun. And it's a lot easier to be productive. So the last thing I'll say, but probably the most practical and most helpful, is having a schedule. This is crazy because a lot of people go out through their day without actually knowing what they should do. Like, they go back from school maybe from work, and they just don't know what to do. So what do you think happens? They just go on social media, they go scroll, they go play video games because they're tired after a long day of work or long day of learning. They don't know what to do. So the power with the schedule is it makes things clear. It says, after you come home from school, do exactly this task. Or right before bed, do this. Like, think back to school periods. Period 1, you might have math, or period 2, you might have science, or whatever else. But you understand the whole concept is you never deviate from that period. It's very easy to understand what you have now. So you're just going to go and do it. No, that's actually how I want you to live life. And if you live life like this, it's easy. Because now you don't have to think about what to do. You just go ahead and do it. And it makes it very frictionless. Now, here's the thing. You actually already have a schedule probably. It just is not long enough. Like, think about it. Everyone has a schedule for the morning because everyone has cornerstone habits like brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, or whatever you do in the morning. What you want to do is just extend the schedule for as long as possible. Now, ideally, it would be the whole day. But of course, I'm not going to expect you to do a whole day long schedule like military style, but at least set up some schedule that spans a good amount of time to where you set in good habits. Now, of course, if you could set up a schedule for the whole day, that would be ideal. But for example, you could just set up what you do 4 hours after eating lunch or 2 hours before bed and basically just fill in that time with good things. Fill in that time with work tasks, with studying, with learning, or doing homework, or basically you could just fill it in yourself because you know what follows for your goal. Now, one thing I'll say is you're not going to be 100% on the schedule, and that's guaranteed. Like, you're obviously going to deviate from it. But this doesn't mean that you shouldn't just follow. In fact, this is a mistake a lot of people make. It's a mistake I also made as well. Basically, just because you're not 100% on your schedule, on the dot, on the minute, that doesn't mean you just don't follow it. Just follow it to the best of your ability. And the whole idea with your schedule is that it should be a perfect day. But you're not going to be 100% perfect every single day. So let's say you're even 50% or 60% there to your schedule. That would still be a good day. You'd still be productive and still get a lot done. So your aim shouldn't be perfection. It should be just 60, 70% there to the perfect day. So just understand you're going to fall off it, and just don't worry too much about falling off it. Just try your best to get back on track. Because if you think about it, for your whole life you've been procrastinating, you've been overstimulated. So really you've been procrastinating for thousands of hours of your life. So it's something that's ingrained in you. So you can't just expect to magically change your life with a schedule and be able to 100% follow it. Instead, just expect yourself to follow it, even 30% when you're starting out, and try your best to increase that up to as high as possible. And the last thing I want to tell you is there's a specific dua that really helped me, and I'll show it on the screen. Now this one, I don't know why, but it just felt really powerful, and it worked really well for me. So I would recommend you say this at least every morning and every evening. But if you want, you can just spam it throughout the day. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Don't forget to not stop making dua to Allah. Check out Clean Islamic Streetwear in the description. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.